Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today is the 5 best crafted mounts that you can do right now. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Now coming in at number 1 is the XIWYLLAG ATV. This one can actually be crafted as a 2-piece type thing through blacksmithing and also engineering. There are 2 pieces towards this mount, and both recipes can actually be found through Operation MEKGINEER'S. This is by far one of the most fastest selling mounts at this moment in time, and it is very easy in order to craft. Only requirements that you need to do is obviously have the recipe, also having a blacksmith and an engineer. For engineering, you will be wanting to get hold of the engine, and for blacksmithing you'll be wanting to get a hold of the recipe for the chassis. That being the case, once you have crafted both of these, which are super cheap to actually craft, and if you wanted to do a farm to craft, getting all the materials is relatively easy. The only thing that is tricky to actually get a hold of is the expulsum, and that's even a cakewalk to do. So other than that, this is by far one of the easiest mounts to craft at this moment in time, and is selling off of the auction house like hotcakes. The only thing that you will do is you'll be spamming Operation MEKGINEER'S as much as you can until you get those recipes. God knows I will be doing the same. Now coming in at number 2, we have the MEKGINEER'S chopper. Now this one's recipe can be found through the Alliance Vanguard, and basically you need to get your rep up. What you have to do to get hold of the recipe is by taking off your tabard, of which could be a reputation tabard or could just be a standard guild tabard. And pretty much what you'll be wanting to do is farming up the Pit of Sauron. Now recommended I would do this on heroic, as you still get the same amount of rep. Now the only reason I say that is because it has a chance of dropping the battered hilt, so you can still make some gold, potential gold, if you are getting your rep up through that. Now once you've hit the exalted status with the Alliance Vanguard, you are able to buy this recipe. Now once you have done that, it will take you roughly about an hour and a half to gather all of the materials. With the titanium ore, I would recommend doing it in Wintergrass as it's plentiful there, and with the cobalt ore I would do it in the Borean Tundra. Now the only other things that you need to do is you have to outlay 12,500 gold for the base crafts, and all those components can be found in K2 in the Storm Peaks. The last thing that you would need to do is getting 2 Arctic Fur, which you can just buy off of the auction house, to be honest, as Arctic Fur is pretty easy. But if you really wanted to do it and you want to do a full farm to craft, I would recommend going into the Oculus and skinning all of the mobs. You roughly get around about 2 of the Arctic Fur every run, with a load of Borean leather and also some icy dragon scales. Now coming in at number 3, we have the MECHA-MOGUL Mark II, and this can be found in the Motherlode. The drop chance on this recipe is ridiculously low, but the MECHA-MOGUL Mark II is actually very fast selling indeed, because the barrier to entry is quite high, as the recipe is quite low to get a hold of, and also you have to farm up all of the different types of components for crafting this mount from the Motherlode. So you've basically got to do it over and over again in order to get all of the different components to craft it. Aside from that, this actual mount actually sells for quite a lot of gold, and that is reflected in the price to the barrier to entry to actually craft this mount. Now, that being the case, this mount is definitely something is on my to-do list to try and get a hold of, because at the end of the day, once Shadowlands gets out, it's going to be a cakewalk trying to just go through there and just getting a hold of all of those base materials each and every week. It would be something like my weekly to-do list. But aside from that, let's get on to number 4, is the Vial of the Sands. The Vial of the Sands has been a staple for me when it comes to crafting mounts, and that's basically how I made most of my gold, and that is through crafted mounts. Now, crafted mounts is relatively easy to do, and with the Vial of the Sands, it is a very low drop chance when it comes to getting a hold of the recipe. Now, you need to be an alchemist in order to get it, and also when you are actually farming up the Vial of the Sands, you will want to use your archaeology. Now, what you'll be wanting to do is either farming up the BFA fragments and turning those into crates, or you can also go over towards the manted dig sites and dig those up, and as they're more clustered together, you can get more crates for that. and you can get more crates for your time. Once you actually get enough crates, like say 100 or 200 or 300 or whatever, you can then go into the Mr. Pandaria area where the archaeology trainer is and trade those in to get Tolvir fragments. Doing Tolvir fragments, you can then do the solves on your archaeology for them, and you have a chance of getting a Canoptic jar. And inside one of those Canoptic jars, you have a chance of getting the Vial of the Sands recipe. It's very long-winded, but it's definitely worth doing because the Vial of the Sands is super awesome to actually craft. Basically, you can make a great deal of profit doing a farm to craft to this, and also you can reduce the amount of the cost, which is 29,000 gold for the base materials in Uldum, and also the Vial of the Sands, the base materials can actually be reduced in cost if you actually have a high enough reputation with the Uldum Accord. Now, that being the case, this is like the best one for you to do. I would highly recommend it. It's definitely well worth it. So just get on and do it. It's like the best mount to actually craft, as it is a 2-seater mount and it sells really, really fast. Now, that being the case, let's move on to number 5, which is the Fell Core Hound or the Steel Bound Harness. Both are the same thing, just stating it right there. Now, that being the case, the Steelbound Harness can only be found through the Nighthold from Tichondrius and has a chance of dropping from him. Now, you have to be a blacksmith in order to get a hold of this recipe, otherwise it won't drop. And once you get a hold of this, it will cost you very little in order to craft. Now, the Steelbound Harness will actually cost you 200 Fell Slate, 100 Laystone Ore, and also 50 Bloods of Sargeras, along with 10 Infernal Brimstone and 10 Fellhide. All of these materials are super easy to farm up. Now we're like 120, so definitely easy to get. And if you are a blacksmith and you're trying to get hold of your lots of Bloods of Sargeras, you can either do your invasions, and also you could pick up like something like Herbalism and go through the Dark Heart Thicket, which drops loads of Bloods of Sargeras for you. Aside from that, you can also get the boon of the Blood Hunter from the Wardens, and then stick that and just massacre everything until you get enough Bloods of Sargeras. My preferred method for actually getting lots of Bloods of Sargeras is preferably through herbalism and skinning, and just going over to their respective farming locations in order to farm these up. That being the case, that is the 5 best crafted mounts. What do you think about these ones? Are they worth it? What do you think? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Now, other than that, guys, have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.
Yeah.